Today we have a first on the show. We would like to welcome a longtime veteran in the wrestling business, a former TNA wrestler, and most recently a member of the Global Force Wrestling roster. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Cody Deaner.
Hey guys, are you guys gonna dub over like a big pop, like a Road Warrior pop? Can you guys do that?
Absolutely.
So after you see my name and before I start talking, you can kind of have like a huge pop.
Of course.
Like the one I usually get when I come to the ring.
Yes.
Put that in, and then we're good to go. Thanks for having me, guys.
I want to congratulate you too, because if our calculations are correct, on January 24th, 2016, that will mark 16 years for you in the business. Looking back over a long career like that, are you proud of what you have been able to accomplish thus far in your career?
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. And I also feel like an old bastard too, because like 16 years. I mean, man, it just seems like such a long time. And I actually, the other day, just a couple weekends ago, I had a guy come up to me, a grown man, 20-something years old. Comes up to me and says, "Hey, I've been watching you for a long time. I used to watch you at the Polish Hall in Niagara Falls at the Fighting Spirit Pro Wrestling shows, which is where I started my career." I was like, "Oh, cool. Did you used to come to the shows and, get drunk with all your buddies?" Because there used to be a section of drunk guys that were just rowdy and have a good time. I go, "Oh, you used to come in with your buddies and, to have a good time?" And he goes, "Nah, man. I was 6. I was like, "Oh, dude, you're making me feel old." So like I'm meeting like people who literally grown up watching me wrestle on the independent scene since they were 6 years old. That's when I started to watch wrestling. So there's people out there that are now, there's actually a guy in Rochester who is a wrestler now that used to go to the shows with his dad when he was a kid. He was like 5 or 6 years old. He would go to the shows and watch me wrestle, and now he's a wrestler. He's 20 years old. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's just kind of started to hit me the last couple of years, how long I've been around. And yeah, having guys come up to me and go, "Remember that match we had?" And I say, "Nope." I've forgotten more than I can remember. But it's been a really good, fun, 16 years so far. And I want to have 16 more fun years too. So I'm ready to start that with GFW, man.
Absolutely. Now, you said that you're probably most known maybe in the States for your time in TNA, but really you've been wrestling all over the place and really tearing up the indie scene as of late. Independent wrestling's got a really big showing right now. A lot of people have their eyes focused on it. What are your thoughts personally on independent wrestling these days?
I'm noticing a big shift right now. Maybe you guys are too. I don't know how long you guys have been independent wrestling fans. How long have you guys been watching indie wrestling?
For me, it's been probably at least I'd say close to 10 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So have you guys noticed the change from 10 years ago to now?
I've only noticed it in the past probably, I'd say 4 to 5 years up here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm noticing there's definitely a shift in the way it's perceived by the fans, mm-hmm. which I think a lot of it has to do with how it's being perceived by the WWE, because they're starting to sign top indie talent now. Whereas 10 years ago, when I was trying to get a contract with the WWE, I couldn't get signed because I was an indie wrestler.
Yeah.
Because I was an indie guy, they weren't looking at me because they wanted to hire guys that were only a couple years in the business, weren't really fully trained or ready, so that they could send to their developmental territory and put into their cookie cutter factory, mm-hmm. and then just pump them out. They're not doing that anymore. They're actually taking guys that have gotten over in other places and signing these top indie talents. And I think that's really helped kind of build, or I guess help other fans realize that there is a wrestling world outside of the WWE. So fans that maybe watch NXT or WWE and then realize, oh, who is this guy? They're saying that he's a 15-year veteran, like a Kevin Owens or something. They're saying he's been wrestling for 12 years or whatever it is. He just showed up on Raw. What are they talking about? And then they research the guy, and then they're opened up to all these awesome independent promotions in Canada, United States, and all over the world. It's really exciting. I've actually made the most money in wrestling that I ever made in 2015. It was my best year financially in pro wrestling was last year, and that includes my time with TNA, my run there. So it's good, man. It's financially it's good, and it's exciting as a wrestler, and a really exciting time as a fan.
Nice. Now, you are also wrestling on the carnival circuit. How did this opportunity come about, and what do you enjoy about wrestling at carnivals?
Yeah. For any of the listeners that are listen to that question, they're probably going, what the hell are you talking about? the carnival circuit. It's not a common thing that for a lot of wrestlers know or wrestling fans know about, but yeah, I'm part of an organization here in Canada called Classic Championship Wrestling that in the summer and in the fall travel with a carnival and do wrestling shows right beside the Ferris wheel and right beside the cotton candy machine. And, you got the tilt-a-whirl, the Ferris wheel, and then a wrestling ring. Nice. And it's like a throwback to when wrestling actually started. Wrestling started in a carnival, and it's pretty cool. It's fun. It's a lot of kids, a lot of families. It's not if you are a hardcore PWG fan, you're probably not gonna love the show that you're gonna watch because you're not gonna see all the high spots and stuff that you're gonna see in a PWG show, but you are going to see just a really fun family wrestling show, and it's been a chance for me to build a very loyal fan base. I get to talk to these people at the shows, high five the kids, see them one-on-one, talk to them. It's helped me build a fan base with them and just have a really fun time. There's nothing like a summertime show, out in the sun, getting 100 kids screaming and yelling at you and chasing you around. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a different kind of experience, awesome. But one that I really enjoy.
Now, do you enjoy the creative freedoms that you get by not working for, say, like a WWE or one of the bigger promotions?
Yeah, it's really cool because I get asked that a lot by like people that aren't wrestling fans, but then realize, or would they find out I'm a wrestler and they start asking me questions. That's one question they ask me is that, oh, do you come up with your own character or do they give it to you? I think a lot of people just think that, oh, they just come up with this character and they hand it to you and say, here you go, you're this guy. Which isn't the case in independent wrestling at all. Mm-hmm. You come up with everything yourself. You're not handed a script by the promoter when you're doing a promo. You're not given an outline for your match. It's the creative freedom is amazing. So you're given this blank canvas, literally, and you get to go out there and try to create something. And that's what I love about wrestling, and I love doing it. I don't care if it's in front of 50 people or 5,000 people or 20,000. I've wrestled in front of those size crowds, and no matter what the size is, what really gets me excited is getting to create something and having whoever's watching respond to it the way I want them to respond. And when I get the freedom to do what I want to do, man, and you get the response you want, I can't even describe it, guys. It's the best kind of drug there is in the world.
Nice. Now, we spoke with Bobby Roode last week, who also happens to be a wrestling Canadian. Do you think that there is a different style, maybe, of wrestling that Canadians have versus an American style? Because I know when other wrestlers wrestle, you have like a lucha style or just all different kinds of styles. But is there maybe a difference between Canadian versus American, or no?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never thought about it in terms of style before. I do know that the Canadians are awesome wrestlers, and I'm not just biased because I'm Canadian. I've heard other people say this too, like Americans that have come, say they're from a different area of the States, and they come into Canada and they're on a show and they're like, man, like, everybody on the show is like in shape and is good. Like there's something about, I guess, Canadians, we breed good professional wrestlers. I don't know what it is. But in terms of style, I've never really thought about it before. I guess I was thinking as you were saying, maybe it's what we grew up on watching. Mm-hmm. It has altered our style. Like when I grew up, I didn't watch WCW and NWA. I didn't have access to that when I was young. All I got was WWF. So I got, the Northeastern feed of WWF stuff. So, I got to see Paul Orndorff and Hogan in the in the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, and all that stuff from that area. That's the stuff that I saw, but it was all WWF stuff, which is definitely a different style than the NWA. So we grew up, I guess I would say maybe we're a little bit more of a WWF style with some kind of, I guess, maybe NWA flavor to it. So, but then you've got the Stampede area. It's different, right? Because then you got Calgary and the Stampede area where they have a lot of Japanese influence there because of the Stampede guys that would always go to Japan. So it's kind of hard to say, but that's kind of my thought process. I'm just thinking out loud when you ask that question. I think if to narrow it down to one definitive style, I would say no, but I would say, man, we got a lot of really good wrestlers here.
I've been fighting the urge this entire time to say something like, "What's that all about?" Because obviously, you are Canadian and it comes through. But
what's that all about, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Now, before and after wrestling in TNA, I'm trying to stay away from TNA because I feel like you're much more than that, and that's the question. Is it frustrating for you to have so much of your wrestling identity boiled down to just your time in TNA?
Yes and no. It's partially frustrating. I'll start with the positive. It got me a lot of exposure to people who I never would have got exposed to. It was an opportunity to be on television, doing what I love doing. I love entertaining people. And I had a lot of fun in TNA. It was not a frustrating time for me. It was a lot of fun. I did what I was asked to do, and I felt like I did it really well. And the writers and my superiors and my agents and the producers all thought I did very well too. They would tell me that all the time. So I know I was doing a good job and I was having fun doing it. And I was able to gain some fans that I never would have got from before. But the negative repercussion of it is it definitely altered the perception that a lot of people have of me, where I wrestled for 8 years or so before I got a contract with TNA. I spent 8 years building a reputation, mainly in Canada, of being a really good wrestler and being a good performer and having one of the better matches, if not the best match on the card. And then when I went to TNA, I was supposed to pretend that I didn't know how to wrestle, and I was just like a fan that won a contest with ODB and had to learn how to wrestle at the last minute and was thrown in there, and it was supposed to look like I didn't know how to wrestle. So that hurt the perception because a lot of fans actually thought that was true, that I was just a guy that got hired that didn't know how to wrestle. I guess I did such a good job of convincing a lot of people. They thought I didn't know what I was doing. So that hurt me. And that there's a lot of people that just know, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He was funny. He had a couple funny interviews or did a couple funny things. But they've never got to see me really get in the ring and go. Which is why I created partially the reason I created the video that I did, that I had my fans hound Jeff Jarrett with, and why I want to be given this opportunity with Global Force Wrestling is I want the world and the perception of me to change. I don't want everyone to when they think Cody Deaner, to just think, oh, comedy guy that doesn't really know how to wrestle. Because I am more than that. And
Sure.
It's not to say I'm not proud of what I did, because I think that what I did was fun and I really liked it. And I think it could have, if given the opportunity, it could have morphed and led into something further where I could have eventually been given the opportunity to show what I can do in the ring. But I never ended up getting that opportunity in TNA. I was released before I could do that. So I do want to change people's perceptions and show them what I really can do.
Sure. Now, speaking of perceptions, while you were there, you were rocking a pretty sweet mullet. How did the non-wrestling crowd react to your bold hairstyle choice?
Oh man, I would usually try to kayfabe it, and I when I'd go out in public, I'd tie it back, or if I'd go out, with my friends and stuff, I'd wear a hat. One time I made the mistake of not doing that, and I got hounded for the entire night, man. Like I had my mullet down and handlebar mustache. They were out and flowing and ready to rock. And I had people coming up to me constantly and taking selfies, not even asking permission. I had girls coming up and just grabbing my hair and like, look, it is real. And they'd come and take pictures with me and stuff. And I was like, oh my, and my friends, they thought it was hilarious. I'm like, never again am I doing that. This is not coming out. I'm wearing a hat, tying it back. Next time we come out and forever. So it got me into some interesting situations. That's for sure.
It's
actually a funny story. Sorry to cut you off. Funny story. The very first time I was in TNA, I was there. I met one of the first times. Tara was there, Victoria, and she. I was in the makeup room for some reason because I was talking to ODB about something we were going to be doing, and she goes, "Oh, are you coming in to get your hair done?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Are you going to get your extensions in?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And I undid my hair and brought my mullet down. She goes, "Oh my God, it's real." And she thought my mullet was actually fake. She thought it was, she thought I got extensions put in. I was like, no, honey, this is 100% authentic. So.
Well, I was just going to say, it's good that now you don't have any other really outrageous hairstyles or a big giant beard on your face or anything right now, right?
I did. I moved all the hair that was my flowing locks in the back. The party that was going on in the back, I brought over to the front and brought over to the chin.
Awesome.
So the party's not in the back. The party's on the chin now.
That's awesome. Now, we mentioned you spent 16 years on the road as a professional wrestler. Looking back, what are some of the things that you've already accomplished in the wrestling business that when you first started, you kind of set as goals maybe?
Oh, I never, I think about this. I'm not a huge goal setter in that I'm not a planner. I'm not a type A personality. I'm married. I have 2 kids, but I never set out I gotta make sure I'm married by this time and I want to have 2 kids by this age and stuff like that. I've never been like that. I just kind of go with the flow. So when I started to wrestle, my goal was just to wrestle. I loved it, and I'm like, if I can just wrestle a match, that would be awesome. Because wrestling looks like a lot of fun, and I've always loved it. It'd be really cool to just wrestle. And that was my thought process. I never got in there thinking, I want to wrestle for the WWE someday. I really have to make it to WWE. That wasn't on my radar. I was quite small when I started. When I started to train, I was like 150 pounds, soaking wet. I was very small, and I just never even thought about WWE being an option. And then when I started getting shape, and I started having people telling me, like, you should start sending videos and try to get booked in the WWE or try to get dark match or something, I hadn't even thought of it. So when I wrestled in the WWE for the first time, my very first tryout was a dark match in Buffalo in front of like 15,000 people or whatever. It was awesome. And I wrestled the next night on SmackDown, my second time in the WWE, the second day there, trying to get a tryout. I wrestled Kurt Angle, and I was on TV, and I was just like, it was very surreal. And I just remember going home after those 2 days and going, what just happened? Never thinking that wrestling on TV would ever even happen. But then that's when, after that experience, I realized I can do this. And I thought I wasn't maybe good enough or big enough to belong there. And when I went there and did it, and it went so well, I realized I do belong here. I am just as good as these guys. I should be here. And then it really changed my perception, and I started to work even harder. And then the goal became to get a contract with the company. So when I got the contract with TNA and started to wrestle and be on TV regularly, that felt good. I was proud of that. And my goal now, and always has been, is to just be a wrestler, make a living being a professional wrestler. That's always been the goal. I'm not in this to be a billionaire. Definitely not in this to be famous. That's not why I became a wrestler in the first place. I just want to be able to be a guy that can say, I love my job. Most people cannot say that they love their job. And I love wrestling even more today than I did when I got into it 15, 16 years ago. I love it even more now. So if I can do wrestling as a job and be able to say that I love my job, man, I'm doing better than most people.
Awesome. Now, other than Lex Luger, most wrestlers are not the total package. But with that being said, what do you consider maybe your biggest strength and your biggest weakness in the world of pro wrestling?
I think something that I've always been told from others, I guess the only way I can think of my strength as being told from others is I'm able to, I've told a number of times, I'm able to draw people into what I'm doing. So whether that is just doing some little funny skit in the ring, or having a 60-minute match, which I've done, I'm able to draw an audience into whatever it is I'm doing. I'm not really sure how. There's no secret formula to it. It's really hard to teach that. I think it's just been something that I'm blessed with and was born with. I'm able to do that. So that's a strength. And weaknesses, I mean, let's be honest here. I don't think I have any of those.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Now, I'm keeping that because I don't believe it either. But when you aren't wrestling, what are the obviously you said you have a wife and kids. What are some of the things that you like to do? What are your hobbies outside of the world of wrestling?
About 5 years, I got my very first motorcycle, and I discovered motorcycling, and it was something I always wanted to do when I was a kid. And growing up, my dad had a bike, and I always wanted a dirt bike when I was a kid, but I could never afford it. And then couldn't afford it when I was a teenager. I just needed a vehicle, so I never got to have a bike. And my awesome wife, after we got married, we needed a second vehicle. And my wife actually suggested, well, why don't you get a motorcycle for your second vehicle? You've always wanted one. And boys, that's when I knew I made the right decision to marry my wife. She was a keeper. It was her idea for me to get a motorcycle. So I went out and got one. And man, the very first time I rode on my motorcycle, it was actually very similar to my very first wrestling match. After my first wrestling match, I came to the back of the curtain, and all I could think of was, when can I do that again? It was so amazing, and the feeling and rush I got from it, I just wanted to do it again as fast as possible. And after I got on a motorcycle and rode down the road, and then, turned around and came back and parked at my driveway, I had that same feeling. I'm like, when can I do this again? I don't want to get off this thing. I want to be on it all the time. And that first year I had my motorcycle, man, I was on it every day for hours. I was on it all the time. So that's something I've fallen in love with for sure. Awesome. And then other things, other stuff that is wrestling related stuff, hobbies that I have to do, like, weight training and athletics, things that keep me in shape and ready for wrestling.
Awesome.
Lightning round.
Who'd win in a fight, Joe Dirt or Cody Deaner?
Oh, Cody Deaner would totally whoop Joe Dirt's ass. I mean, Joe Dirt, he's probably pretty dirty, but, he's not jacked or in shape at all. He's probably shifty, but no, I could take Joe Dirt. Especially now that I don't have a mullet, I could just I'd wrap my hands around his mullet and pull him down. Meet him in the head a few times, and we're good to go.
Wow, that was violent, but
no. Sorry, I'll be quicker next time.
No, I'm just kidding.
This is as much of a lightning round. I'm describing how I'm going to destroy Joe Dirt.
Hey,
I'll be quick on the next one.
I appreciate the answer for sure, but
okay.
Who is the better carny, Cody Deaner or Arnie?
Ooh, I know Arnie quite well. He's a Canadian boy too.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I've wrestled him a number of times. So we're different kind of carnies. I'm the kind of carny that's going to, when you try to throw the ball into the basket, it's going to be impossible because I'm going to have a specific kind of ball that's impossible to land in the basket based on the angle that the basket's at. I'm that kind of carny. Arnie is the kind of carny that is going to paint his face and take off his shirt, and you're going to be able to throw darts at his back, and he's not going to feel any pain. He's just a traveling freak show entity unto himself. So no better. No one's better. We're just different types of cards.
Okay.
All right. How about one word to describe Eric Young?
Oh, friend.
Okay. All right. Present company excluded. Best beard in professional wrestling.
Ooh. I gotta go with my friend. I gotta say Eric Young.
Okay.
All right. How about your favorite all-time carnival game?
Oh, the one I created when I was doing the Cody Deaner gimmick. It was a game I created called Throw the Ball in the Bucket. And I would bring a kid into the ring and give them the opportunity to try to throw the ball in the bucket 3 times. And I'd be very nice about it. And they would come in and they would think they're going to win a prize. So they'd throw the ball once and it'd get in the bucket and everyone would cheer and we'd say 1. And then he'd throw it again and everyone would cheer. We'd say 2. And then their final throw, the 3rd time they throw the ball in the bucket, I pull the bucket away and say, kid, you missed. You suck. And then I turn into the dirtiest, meanest carny the crowd ever seen. And I get attacked by the kid's father. And, then chaos ensues. That happened a number of times, and that was always fun. So that's my favorite carny game for sure.
Awesome. Now, in the world of professional wrestling, social media kind of goes hand in hand with it these days. Where can people find you and everything you'll be up to?
Social media, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Both of those are at Cody Deaner. I'm on YouTube. My YouTube channel is official Cody Deaner. If you just put in Cody Deaner in the search engine for YouTube, my channel will be one of the first 3 things you'll see. And you can get links to all of those things. And my personal email for bookings and fans that get a hold of me. My public email is Cody_Deaner@hotmail.com. You can find all that at CodyDeaner.com. And links to all that stuff is there.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we really appreciate it, Cody.
I'm looking forward to, man. Everybody listen to this. Go watch the video we were talking about that I made on my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. I'll be tweeting and Instagramming about the whole GFW weekend. So follow me on there. And thank you, guys. I appreciate this. This was fun. Let's do it again for sure.